So I was at this medical conference a few weeks ago listening to one of the speakers, a registered dietitian, and I loved something that she said. In fact, she immediately started her program with, when people know they're going to meet with a dietitian, they usually expect that I'm going to come in wearing a white coat and I'll be saying, you need to be eating lots more fruits and vegetables and you need to lose 25 pounds. And she's probably got her finger pointing as she's saying it. And this woman was so not like that. Her whole
Mm,
approach and manner was the antithesis of that. And I liked it so much because I thought that's the obstacle. No wonder
yeah,
people don't want to talk about diet or
yeah,
nutrition because it sounds like it's not going to be any fun and it's going to be
yeah,
really hard.
yeah,
And one of the things I've liked working with you about is it's that same feel that I would have thought working with a clinical exercise physiologist, working in a hospital setting, working with cardiac patients or bariatric patients, or, that immediately, my encounter with you would be that same kind of feel like, oh my goodness, you know, I'm doing, here's what I need to be doing. And it's going to have lots of crunches and planks in it
mhm,
and many repetitions and, you know, that,
yes,
um, or if you were just coming in as a personal trainer,
yeah,
or a personal coach from that perspective, that there would be lots of that pushing and expectation, and
yeah,
it's going to be hard, and you're going to need somebody on the outside to
yeah,
push you to do this.
yeah,
So it's been you know, it's been transformative for me to encounter someone like you to work with. And I think that it's just been helpful and fun to me to be part of the journey of getting to know you, working with you, as your client, but also collaborating with you as colleagues in conversations like this.
yeah. I agree, Jan. And that what a powerful acknowledgement that she made in that talk, because I think everyone feels that and experiences it. I've had people walk into my office shaking
Oh my.
because they were so nervous that I was going to make them exercise. There's
Yes.
a lot of exercise trauma out there that's not talked about. And this is, I think,
Exercise
what
trauma.
attracted me, why I love collaborating with you, Jan, because as a psychologist, like you embody that openness and that realism and that authenticity about um, what's happening up here. That doesn't make it scary. It just makes it, this is what it is. We have an inner pusher. That's what it is. It's a committee member. I love how you talk about that. And it just calms the barriers to say, oh, I'm normal. It's okay if I'm
Yes.
feeling that way. And even from, I've been in your office and it has that warmth and that same welcoming, like, you're okay. Just come in, let's chat. No big deal. And that
Yeah.
sets the stage for this very different way of talking about being healthy that is not, demeaning or um, prescriptive.
Yeah.
It's very whole person.
Or from if I can jump right into the committee members in our
Yeah,
heads, it's not being driven by your inner pusher
yeah,
or your inner critic
yeah,
so much. Not that they don't have a place where they can help,
yeah,
but when there's too much pushing and
mm,
expectation and shoulds and I found the same thing in my practice here that one day it occurred to me, what's the biggest obstacle really to people coming to someone like me who's
yeah,
doing, working with,
yeah,
especially the clients I work with, they're
yeah,
all high achievers, uh,
hmm,
very accomplished.
yeah,
They're all professionals and executives.
hmm,
Why would they want to show up somewhere in a counseling office with a sign out
hmm,
front and be afraid
yeah,
of who they're going to run into in the waiting room?
yeah,
And that's when I changed my whole practice. There is no waiting room. There
mm,
is no sign out front.
yeah, yeah,
When
yeah,
you come up,
uh-huh,
Nobody's gonna know, and I don't book people back to back. You're not going to run into anybody. And I
Yeah.
just thought that was so interesting that that's the biggest obstacle. It's
Yeah.
like once we're sitting down,
Right.
it's actually I
Yeah.
just my goodness, I've removed the major obstacle to
Yeah.
people wanting to show up and work with me.
Yeah. It's an invisible obstacle. And I think we all want to feel and function better. We all, of course, want somebody to help us understand what's going on in our brain or in our body so that we can feel and function better. And in our conversation recently, we realized this is both of our focus is to help people feel and function better. And um, so today, I'm really hoping our conversation can break that down in a way that is a fresh way. I think people mostly say that to me when I start talking to them about this,
Mhm,
and we talk
mhm,
about a plan, and they're like, I've had people cry because they're so
mhm,
relieved and
mhm.
they're like, I have so
Yes,
much hope. This is so simple. I can do this. That's the biggest takeaway that people have when we have a conversation about exercise. They're so used to being forced to do it and
yes.
guilted into it and feeling worse about their body and using that stress as a motivator, using fear as a motivator. And
Yeah.
the relief that they get that this exercise physiologist, we all know how important it is to us to exercise. That's a no brainer, but it almost makes it worse to know how important it is to be exercise because then there's all this guilt, shame, and fear
Mhm.
driving that force. Instead, we start out from a place of being well.
Yeah.
And I use that, health coaching psychology to start in that relaxed place. I just had a woman who I worked with who was in such pain. She was sitting in her chair, and as we're talking and kind of getting to know it, she's just moving, and I could tell how much pain she was in as she was telling me about her back pain and how that limits her. And I had this little cushion in my office, and I put it behind her, and I said, "I see how much pain you're in. Do you mind if I put this behind you?" And she said, "Yeah, let's try it." And it was like her whole person, not just her body, but her whole person relaxed because it was like she was seen. Somebody said, "Oh, you're in pain, and I'm not judging you for that. I'm not judging you
Yeah.
for carrying extra weight and that being in pain. I'm meeting you where you are right now. You're a person sitting
Yeah.
here in pain, and I want to take care
Yes.
of that pain, what's going on right now." And now we had a conversation, and she smiled, and we did some movement, and it was just changes the whole thing because she was physically comfortable because I wasn't judging her for being overweight and making that the reason for her pain. I
Wow.
just saw her as a person in
Wow.
pain. And
Yeah.
I think that that was, um, it, it was transformative for me and reaffirming to me to say,
Yes.
wow, yeah, meeting someone where they are. And I'd love your take on this from a psychology perspective.
Yes.
When we're able to meet ourselves right where we are now and say, I'm hurting, I'm depressed, I'm sad, I'm anxious, and just
Yes.
acknowledge that and meet ourselves where we are and have
Yeah.
a professional meet us right where we are and let it be okay. And say, okay, this is
What
our
I
starting point. Yeah.
Yes, I would say that what you were doing as I'm listening to that story, um, you were doing for her, you were modeling for her and
Mhm.
offering you're kinda like teaching her, "This is how you do it. I'm going to
Yes.
do it for you, but this
Yes.
is also going to train your brain to do it for yourself." So,
Exactly.
what were the pieces of that? Well, okay, like you said, no judgment or just being present with
Mm.
someone with no
Hmm.
judgment, and then the other thing that stood out, how simple it was,
Yeah.
but it was a simple act of kindness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that now all of a sudden all her pain went away, all her problems are taken care
Hmm.
of now.
Yeah.
Boy, are you you're now you can get some traction and start moving forward with someone like
Mm.
that
Yeah.
because, you're like I said, you're modeling, "This is how
Mm.
you do it." Okay, let me put it this way,
Yeah.
"This is how you do it." You
Hmm.
encounter yourself, you're present, and you're
Yeah.
not judging yourself.
Mm.
And then you're
Mm.
basically looking at, "What do I need?"
Yeah.
Offer yourself something and listen to your body. Did that help? Oh, that felt better. Good. Let's do that again. This is you're learning something about how to
Yeah.
help yourself with your pain.
Yeah.
And this nice lady, Janet Hulls, uh, super mega star of exercise physiology
Yeah.
offers this simple
Mhm.
thing,
Yeah.
that her whole I would say that in that little story though, that's pretty much what you did for me in
Mm.
my encountering you early
Yeah.
on. It
Yeah.
is such a massive mindset shift,
Mm.
and it's just incredible. And that's why I want to be doing these conversations with you because I
Yeah.
feel like that if I can give my own version of that,
Yeah.
it's like, uh, sometimes I'll hear a comment like in my office here, I heard a lot of laughing going on in there. And it's kind of like, it's like judgment about it. Like, you're not supposed to be laughing. This is therapy. You know,
Right.
you're having a good time in there.
Right.
No.
Right. Yeah. Get to work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
they're not doing any work in there. They're just laughing. They're just having fun.
Right.
And I
Wow.
thought, like, "Dude, this is
Yeah.
part of the healing journey.
Yeah.
This is part of, this is anti-depression here. We're laughing, okay?"
Right. When you put that pointing finger away, like that dietitian said, right? And you're not like, you need to do this. Here's what you should do. But instead, you put that hand on the heart and you're like, okay, I get it. I see you. Yeah, you're having a hard time. Let's
Yes,
let's find the real stuff here. I think that laughter, right, comes from, oh my gosh, this is like this is real. And it's
yes.
that
Or
relief laughter. Yeah.
yes, yes, definitely. But again, it's part of my what I like to offer my
Yeah.
clients is it's I hear this a lot. It's like, "This wasn't what I was expecting."
Yeah.
Or, this is,
Right.
or
Right.
sometimes I don't even know what to call you. You don't really seem like a therapist, but this is helping me so much. Are you sure you're a psychologist?
That must feel really good for someone to say that you're not using that typical approach of here's what you should do.
Yeah, and the whole
Yeah.
point of all of this is not just to do something different to do
Yeah.
something different. It's
Right.
because this works. This
Yes.
is what
Yeah.
works,
Yeah. There's
you
so much
know?
science behind it.
Yes.
Yeah. Mindfulness, self-compassion, self-efficacy, all of that, acceptance, all
Yeah.
of that has so much science behind it, but putting it into action, right? Even a health professional might know those things, have motivational interviewing skills, have acceptance, what is it, acceptance commitment therapy skills, but putting it into action, I think of it as treating the person, not the disease.
Yeah.
Right? I think as medical professionals, we kind of say, oh, this is a person with depression. This is a person with heart disease, with obesity. And we kind of have these lists of things that they're supposed to do to fix. Oh, okay. And I know how to fix it. And we almost kind of put them in these categories and want
Yes.
to help. But in that wanting to help, we end up overtaking them and end up with these shoulds rather than, okay, yeah, you are a person with depression, diabetes, whatever. You're in that category. But let me know about the person.
Yeah.
What is this about for you? And starting there changes everything. So, Jan, this is what we discovered is that you have this brain down approach and your methodology that you use to help people feel better, function better. And I have this body up approach to feel better, function better. And they really meet together, which is why I think we have so much fun with this. And it just gels. What you just described, the way you summarized what I did for that patient that I didn't even realize I was doing, but you summarized so well the steps of the Be Well Now methodology that I use. And I know that you use the same tools in there, those same skills, because they're evidence based. And so many people use them. You use them so beautifully. So the first step there is presence, meeting someone where they are, but also inspiring them to meet themselves where they are. I'm so curious how you do that first step, because I would love our listeners to be able to do this for themselves and learn from your wisdom about how do you meet yourself where you are? How do you get to presence when you're like stressed out and overwhelmed?
Gosh. Um, I hope this is answering the question. When you say that, I think back to a real turning point for me in my practice
Mm,
was uh, several years ago waiting for a new client to show up and getting really nervous or
mm,
um, because it's like in those days at least, I was so focused on my identity as being an
mm,
expert and the pressure that I would feel to be able to figure out real quickly what the heck is going on here? You know, basically the diagnosis
Right.
and then the treatment, what to do about it. And,
Yeah.
you really only have one session or even,
Mm.
the first few moments of a session. If you don't get that right,
Mm.
that person isn't going to come back. And I was feeling that pressure.
Yeah.
And just because of all these years of these practices that I've been doing, that's really what, to me, makes somebody good. It's not just
Mm.
getting the training and the
Yeah.
credentials, it's practicing it, it's doing it yourself. When you embody it, people sense that,
Yeah. So
and
true.
it helps you do your job. But anyway, this was the turning point because I'm waiting for this person to show up, feeling that nervousness, and um, they showed up, and it was just one of those moments where the first time it came in to being for me, but it's like I just relaxed
Mm.
and just thought, "Actually, just listen to what they're saying,
Yeah.
and just trust that you're gonna be able to figure this out."
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like I went into a different mental state, and the
Mm.
person described their situation, and I felt like I was in my element. It's like
Right.
but there's something about
Wow.
being able to I guess it's a certain amount of when you do these practices, you do get in touch with yourself. That's what I'm
Mhm.
trying to say, isn't it?
Mm.
I was in touch with myself,
Yeah.
which made it possible for me to be present with somebody else,
Yeah.
you know?
That brain state brought you into your body, into the presence, into that internal knowing, that intuition of, I could help this person, but it's not about diagnosing them,
I'm
just
laughing
trusting that.
I just have this visual of, probably before, I feel like people just showed up and there was this massive brain sitting in a chair doing but it's kinda like, "No, I'm a whole person." I did
Yeah.
have a sense of physicality, of being
Yeah.
physically present with this person,
Right.
with this okay, I'm, using lingo,
Yeah.
but embodied
Yeah.
awareness, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, and that was a turning point in my practice.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wow.
not that I don't still feel pressure or,
Yeah.
I can certainly do that, but that was when everything changed. It's like,
Mm.
you don't have to know I'm sorry. Here's the other part of it I left out, and this is important. It's like, it's okay, Jan, to not know.
And you're modeling that for somebody else.
Yes.
It's okay not to come in with the answers or to leave even with the answers, but just to know, to identify what's happening, what's here now,
Yes.
and
You
be real.
it's but that is I mean, that's such a massive, repudiation of our
Gosh.
Western mindset of you must
Yes.
know, and you better
Yeah.
know quickly too, and it's like, you know
Yes.
what? It's okay to just sit here and not quite know
Yeah.
what's going on yet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I tell people now is, our sessions may start out very chaotic, especially in the beginning, and I
Mhm.
tell people it's okay. We're
Yeah.
probably gonna be all over the place, we're interrupting
Right.
each other, and,
Yeah.
whatever order you're speaking in, it doesn't matter, just let everything jump around, but
Yeah.
eventually, it's all going to come together.
Yeah.
It will, and, I really trust that now.
Yeah. You trust that creative process, which is how everything else is creative. It looks messy until that has to come together. And we don't give people that ability to be
And if I could
messy.
go
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I can go committee members in your head for a
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like getting too much inner pusher
Mm.
committee member or too
Yeah.
much perfectionist or rational mind. You
Right.
gotta be really smart and
Right.
figure everything out,
Right.
really quickly. It's like, no, you,
Mm.
just kinda relax, and it's okay to
Yeah.
not know.
Yeah.
You can trust the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
You will know, but you can take your time and explore it, and
Mm.
there's something about relaxing into that not
Mm.
knowing that just
Yeah.
got the inner pusher and the inner critic enough out of the way that I could think.
Mm. Yeah.
Is that not
So
hilarious?
that first step to feel better, function better, is to acknowledge that you don't feel well and you're not functioning well and letting it be okay.
Yeah, there's a part of that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
yeah, and to get out of your head and to really trust that inner knowing. And this is the definition of well that I use, right? Is trusting that inner guide to get out of your head and get into that sense of, oh, you know what? I've got strength and skills, and what's happening inside of me is actually pretty valuable, even if it
Yeah.
is messy and uncomfortable. You're allowing people the space to get in there and listen, to get out of their head and listen to what they know in their body.
Yes, and, like, just what I've learned about your methodology, Be Well Now,
Yeah, yeah,
know, it's so simple, but it's really a lot of what's happening in these sessions, uh, whether it's
yeah,
what you're doing or what I'm doing,
yeah.
it's the unspoken. It's like you're
Yes.
actually doing it, you're
Yeah,
embodying it,
yeah,
and somehow the person senses it, and they
yeah.
automatically start to kind of lean into that,
Mhm.
and it's kind and they get to experience it too, and
Yeah,
the next thing you know, you're able to do it for yourself.
yeah, yeah. Which really leads to that well step, that well piece of this, of being in touch with that and helping people get back in touch with what's important to them about
Yeah,
this and getting clear about that so that it takes away that noise of all the shoulds. I should be doing this. I should be doing 10,000 steps a day. I should be weighing this. I should be, all of those shoulds kind of really block that inner knowing of what's most important. And that B step is kind of, okay, what's here? Let's get out of this, you know, thoughts in the head about what it should be or shouldn't be. And let's get into what's really important here. Let's get to that clarity. And to me, that's being well. Stress is trying to get somewhere else. You're trying to
ah,
fix something, right? And I think that's why people come to a psychologist or an exercise physiologist or a dietitian. They want to feel better. They want to function better. They want to be fixed. Tell me what to do and I'll do it, kind of thing. And
yeah,
there's no set formula for that as much as we want there to be. There's guidelines, there's all these things that we have
yes,
out there. We want to make this formula, but there's no way because we're all different. And
yes,
so this well step is like, okay, all right, I want this. I want to feel better. I want to function better. But the only answers that are really there are inside. And how do I listen to that? And I think that that's the number one thing that I have found with exercise over doing this almost 40 years now and working with people who are really in pain, emotional pain, physical pain. They've got
mhm,
chronic diseases thrown at them like heart disease, or they're living in a body that doesn't feel like them because of obesity. And they're in pain. They're uncomfortable in their body right now. Um, and I think that um, the number one thing is how exercise makes people more uncomfortable in their body.
whoa, yes, and I think now, when you focus on this well part, I'd say the way in which you seem to be doing it, offering it to people is how can you I don't know, you can probably say this better than I can, and let me put it in the form of a question, but
Mm,
it is how do you do that? You're present, and I get
yeah,
that part, but
yeah,
then how like, in working with someone like me or any of
yeah,
your clients,
yeah.
how do you bring in that well piece?
Mm, yeah,
Can you say more about that?
yeah. It's really a lot about clearing the noise, like I said, of the shoulds, of the measures of success that are external, right? I
Okay,
gained weight on
okay,
the scale. The scale says I'm not healthy. My cholesterol says I'm not healthy. My doctor says I'm not healthy. My clothes don't fit any better. My closet says I'm not healthy. I'm not well. I
mhm,
don't feel comfortable. And um, clearing those measures of success, those external measures of success, and redefining success or results from an internal perspective.
yes,
Really getting clear. So I have this 5 question process of finding your core why that you've done, right? And we go through it. And it starts with what are you feeling best about right now? It starts with the positive rather than what's going wrong, what's the problem. As health professionals, we're trained to find the problem and the solution, problem list, solution list, and that's it. And we're trained to
yes,
look at the problems, right? But what I learned in coaching psychology is when you start with what's going well, you elevate someone's perspective. You bring on their strengths, and now they can move forward. So I help them in that process I call it being deeply well. get to
Mhm.
this level of what do I know about what it means for me to be well, what my strengths are, what's important to me. And usually it gets to the point where it's like, I want to be here for my kids. I have this career that I love so much and I am tired and I don't have the energy to do it. I
Yeah.
have this dream of, doing this big trip with my spouse. And I don't think I can walk the stairs to the plane, much less, be hiking. And so it's that stuff. It's that not that part inside. And so bringing that to the surface, and then we use that to define well results. So what are the things that you will be doing that let you know that you feel better, you function better? What are the things? And we imagine it and bring it to life. I will be, on that plane with my husband feeling really comfortable about taking this trip and not worried in my body. I will be on the floor playing with my grandkids and laughing and getting up easily and not feeling, embarrassed by the way I have to get up. I'll be at work in a meeting fresh and coming up with ideas, but listening to other people and just feeling myself, using my best skills without feeling tired and run down. Um, those images, that's results, right? That's
Yeah.
internal results that are maybe externally seen, but how you're feeling inside while you're doing them. And so
Yes.
when we bring those to the surface and get really clear about those, now we can say, okay, what do you need to be able to do? How do you need to feel and function? And then we create an exercise plan based on that. Not what do you have to do to lose weight? What do you have to do to lower your cholesterol? What do you have to do? And all those external measures, this internal measure of success. And just like that woman that I mentioned, her goal was to get out of pain. She wanted to lose weight to get out of pain. She
Ah,
experienced that right away.
yes.
We brought
Yes.
it into now
Yes.
because she got to experience it because she met herself where she was, because we were able to listen to the pain. And
And
that's
that
the paradox, right? Is when you listen to pain, it tends to calm down. When you push through it, it tends to go up.
yes. So the word that comes to me when I hear you say this is that sounds motivating.
Yes, it
Like,
is
it's
because,
an
right.
internal motivation. It's not
Yes,
somebody on the outside having to push you or
right.
be
Yeah,
your slave driver. Yeah. Yeah.
which, as you know, that psychologists know that that's the kind of motivation that lasts. But we use all these external motivators, and as health professionals, well, look at how your cholesterol's lower, look at how your weight's coming down. We use those external motivators as a measure of success, and they are the number one way to drain motivation. Motivation, the word motivation means to want. What
Ah,
do you want, right? So if
yeah.
we focus on that, what do you want? And we bring that to the surface and use that as the fuel for motivation, not use fear as the fuel for motivation, but
Yeah.
wanting for your well being. What does it mean to feel and function better? Um, if we can tap into that, it's not as tangible, but when we do, wow, everything changes from day one. That's why I call it the Be Well Now method, because you can be well now
Mhm.
even before you get to that. You can start well. And that's why
Yeah.
my program's called Start Well, because you can start well. And when you start well, you start with a really solid foundation of confidence in your body and your brain to say, I can do this.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that, again, that's what someone says to me usually on the first session. I can do this.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
so
And it's
that's kinda
fun.
like
And it's
starting
fun.
but that's what you mean of starting where you are, that,
Yeah.
you start with something they can do, and it
Yeah.
sounds like feel good about doing.
Right, right. And
Yes.
oftentimes people will doubt that that will work because we're so used to exercising having to be
Yes.
hard in the beginning.
Yes.
And it is the number one reason why we struggle with starting is because we think the start has to be hard.
Yes. That
It's a
muscles
lot, takes a
be
lot. Yeah.
sore
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and,
And then, yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
And there's no science behind that. So,
there was
um,
I've got a funny story to play off that. If I was at, the place I like to do strength training,
mhm,
and I was walking by. I've run into this person a couple of times, and I would just see him straining. I mean, like,
mm,
gritting his teeth and straining,
yeah.
and, uh, I walked by him and I said something like, "It looks like you're not having much fun." And he said, "I'm killing myself," and I said, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna go have some fun on this machine over here."
Good for you. Good for you for bringing some fun
Well,
into
I'm
that.
trying to
Yeah.
infuse,
Right.
because really,
Yes. Yeah.
because, actually what I thought as I walked away is, "How does he get himself to show up?"
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and what we already know the
Yeah.
answer is,
Yeah.
it's kind of limited
Hmm.
motivation, uh,
Yes.
or it's like, I certainly couldn't get myself to show up
Right.
consistently
Right.
and do that, and I want this to be a part of my life, not
Yeah.
something that I do so hard that I injure myself and then I have to stop,
Hmm. Right.
or,
Right.
it's so not fun that I
Yeah.
keep finding excuses and
Yeah.
reasons to
Yeah.
not do it.
Yeah. It works, right? Pushing yourself that way, having that, and especially for men, I find, not to stereotype, but or athletes, somebody who was
Yes,
very much pushed and had those tapes of you have to push, go
yes,
big or go home, all of that. It's very much ingrained, but it doesn't lead to the feel better, function better, which is
yes,
exactly what
exactly,
people want. It's
yes,
you know, it's a later thing. I'll feel better once I get to this. I'll function better once I get to this. And that never happens. We never
yeah,
quite get there because an injury gets in the way or life gets in the way or,
yeah.
illness gets in the way. Yeah.
I would say one of the biggest, mindset shifts that I gained from working with you would fit in this well
Mm.
category
Yeah.
is, yeah, how I define well,
Mm. Mm.
because there are so many rules
Yeah.
that I have broken,
Mm.
exercise rules
Yes.
that I have broken in this process of learning with
Hmm.
you, and yet
Yeah.
you're the one who's the expert. So it's the funniest thing to me that in my head, like everybody else does all these rules about
Yeah.
the right way to exercise,
Yeah.
and you've been so subversive, Janet, encouraging me to
Right.
these, and it's like,
Yes.
and then but it's literally like, "What? Are you
Yeah.
sure?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Well,
Yes.
she's the expert, so okay, I'm gonna try this." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh." It's like that woman sitting there or like, "I
Hmm.
can do this," or like,
Yeah.
"Wow,
Yeah.
this is such a different way to
Yeah.
think about this and
Yeah.
approach it,
Yeah.
and oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's working so well."
Yeah.
I mean, this is a whole different way to live, not just
Yeah.
think, but function.
Yeah. And that's
And
what I would encourage. Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's wonderful.
Yeah. And that's what I would encourage our listeners to take away from this is trust that. Be willing to break some rules. Change the tapes. If it's not working and you're struggling and you're in pain, you're stressed, you're not motivated, you're really struggling with making something a habit or changing something for your health and well-being, look at the rules that you are thinking about and be willing to challenge them and get a little deeper into what do I really want? What do I really want ultimately?
Yes.
Ultimately, I want to feel better. I want to function better. And
Yes.
how do I do that? And that's the now step. Like, okay, now that I've kind of identified that, now what do I do? And just being guided by how you feel now and how you function now. Because if you feel better now and you function better now, you're on that pathway for knowing how to feel better and function better in another situation. You're building those inner skills to do that.
Yeah.
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 I'd like
So
to
you
hear how
put
you do that for clients.
um, I'd say like from this well, your version of be well now, my version of when I'm focusing on the well with someone,
Mm,
I think of a couple of things.
mm,
Uh, so much of what I'm doing in the beginning, I think of working with someone is, they think there's something different or
mm,
wrong with them or not normal. So a lot of what I'm doing is norming for them. This is
mm.
totally natural and
Yeah,
normal and
yeah,
understandable
yeah.
that this is what's happening, or this is how
Wow.
you've been thinking, or this is
Yeah,
why you thought
yeah,
this is a good way to handle this.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's kind of like that non-judgment thing again,
Right.
but it's
Yeah.
like norming it. Uh, but I'd say so often when the first time I meet with somebody when they're leaving, there is such a sense of relief.
Yeah.
If there was one word that I could, it's like relief. And
Wow.
and the second word would be hope,
Mm.
But
Yeah.
that relief and that like I'm not crazy or,
Hmm.
and the other way that I like to focus on the well with someone as we continue to work is I'm looking for where they're already successful. Like one of my favorite
Mm,
things to do, and again, it's not everything that's wrong with you and how we have to
yeah.
fix it. We won't ever have to remind ourselves to
Right.
focus. Your brain automatically does that. Really,
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
negativity bias in our brain for
Right.
survival
Uh-huh.
purposes. We
Yeah.
can trust that that will be there. So
Right.
my job is to be looking for you already have some of these skills in place and you don't even know it. So one of my
Mm,
jobs is to look for success experiences where,
yeah.
or you have a strength and
Yeah.
here's how we're going to use it.
Yeah.
Or you have a strength and you don't even know it's there yet.
Mm,
It is.
yeah.
Be looking for concrete examples of where actually, you know what? You've already given me an example of where you just did that.
Yeah.
But the oddest thing, I have to point it out to them. They
Right.
don't realize it. Is that
Right.
not interesting?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. And you're right, that negativity bias, and that's a skill of being well, is
Yes,
knowing your strengths, seeing them,
yes,
recognizing them. It's
yes,
not, it's not it's not selfish or self-grandizing, or, it really is just
yes,
saying, here's what I have to offer, here's what's supporting me inside. And you're
yes,
helping people really bring that out.
yes. And I'd like to play off what you said with that, that it's not just so many times if people do come in and they've done something well or right or
Yeah.
skillful,
Yeah.
they're immediately they're number 1, they don't even see it, so I need to point
Yeah.
it out. They didn't even
Yeah.
realize they did it. It's
Yeah.
like, "Whoa," and then the second thing is brushing past it or minimizing it.
Mm,
That's that inner
yeah.
push in your head, "We gotta
Yeah.
get on to the next," and it's like,
Right.
"No, wait,
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
pause here because your brain really needs to be able to take that in."
Mm,
You did something and a new neural pathway formed when you
yeah.
did that, and if you want that to continue, to get stronger and to be able to do it again until it
Mm,
becomes a habit, the new norm, it's like, we
right.
need to pause here and feel that in your body,
Mm,
in your feeling center. That's what makes your brain notice that and do it again. And
yeah.
when you're, like, ignoring it or minimizing it, you're actually doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
You're making it harder.
Yeah.
But it's again, that's one of the rules I like to break, though. It is so wrong to just bask in it or savor the
Mm,
moment.
yeah.
That is not something that is natural for most people that I work with, high
Yeah.
achievers,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes. Yes.
executives, professionals. That's not
Yeah.
typical.
Yeah.
That's not natural.
Right.
But start to train that, and that's the fastest way
Mm,
to what it is you really want, like you were talking
yeah.
about. Wanna get there faster? Actually, it's not by pushing and
Yeah.
it's actually by noticing it. "Ah, boy, that was great. That felt great," you know? And it doesn't have to be an ego-driven thing, you can just be
Yeah.
thankful for it.
Yeah.
Just, you know?
Yeah. This is
Cool.
this is right into the now step, in that that's why that now step, here now. And I love this. This is why this brain body meshing
Yeah,
togetherness
yeah,
is, you do that from the brain to savor it and to say, what did I do that really worked well? How does that feel? And that feeling in your body. And
mhm,
what I do is help people feel their body and be able to do that, to identify with their body as a place that they want to stay or they can stay.
yeah,
And together that really makes the difference. So, and same thing with exercising. When I tell people, feel your strength when you're doing, oftentimes it's like, oh, I do strength when I'm watching TV and I just get it done. And that's what
mhm,
people are told to do, just, just lift weights while you're watching TV and get it over with. And
yeah,
we're missing that sense of feeling our strength, and we're missing that brain body connection, which is muscle memory, which is what makes us stronger. So we're not
yes.
really getting stronger when we're doing it in front of the TV. And so, same thing, like savoring and feeling that strength is what's actually making you stronger physically. And like you're saying, it's what makes you stronger mentally and emotionally too, when you actually feel what went well.
So when you're doing it in front of the TV, it's not really making you stronger?
Yeah, because your brain is, half of your brain is what's happening on the TV, and your brain connects to your nervous system, and that nervous system connection is what makes your muscles stronger. It's not the muscles themselves, it's the nerve telling the muscle fibers to contract. So if
That's
half of your brain is
fascinating.
off doing that, you are, and it's mindful strength, it's mindful listening to it and responding with kindness. So how does that feel? Oh, that's a little painful. What if I did this? Oh, okay, that feels better. And that
Mhm.
mindful strength is strengthening the skill of mindfulness. So allowing you to feel. So when you're sitting with someone like you and you say, oh, how does that feel? You could say, oh, okay, yeah, I can feel my body, I can be in my body.
Yes.
and and it's strengthening their body because they're connecting their brain and body. So that
Yes.
mindful strength and mindful exercise has such rich benefits for the whole person, and allows someone to sit with you, and which is why I can learn so much from you too, because
Yes.
I can feel it in my body what you're saying when you say
Yeah.
it. I identify with it.
I'm smiling because I just get this image of I feel like like my head exploded, with, one of these big gyms, from working with you where I'm at my, fitness center working out and, or here at home,
Yeah.
doing something, and it's like, "Oh my god, this is supposed to feel good now? I'm doing it?" I mean, that's why I was able to say what I was to the guy in the gym I mentioned,
Right, right.
you know, but it's like,
Yes.
"No, it's not. You can't do that. It's not supposed to feel good while you're doing it. You're supposed to be
Right.
pushing or forcing or I mean, or
Yeah.
at least efforting, like
Yeah.
stretch as far as you possibly
Right.
can,
Right.
or, do that, 3 more,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it was like, again, like such a massive act of
Yeah.
rebellion on my
Yeah.
got in touch with
I
my
like
inner rebel,
right,
it's
right.
breaking some of these rules. It's like, what if I went in here or whatever I'm doing here at home and I only did it if it felt good? It
Yeah.
felt so like I was going to the dark side.
Like the exercise police were gonna come up and be like, "No."
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah,
it's like yes, so then I started doing these wild and crazy things because of you, Janet. It was all your fault, but I started like, "You know what? I'm just gonna do it I'm not even gonna count these, I'm just gonna do as many as I do until I'm ready to stop." And
yeah.
then that led to, "You know what? I don't know how many I did on this side, but I don't care. I'm just gonna do how many feels right on this side. You don't
Mhm.
have to do the exact same amount."
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, that's breaking a rule, you know?
It really is. It's breaking a rule, and it's also breaking down that idea that athleticism and military are the ultimate fitness. It's
Yes,
just stepping over, updating. I call it like upgrading your purpose for
yes,
exercising, basically is what it is. It's getting out of the athletic and military mindset, which we kind of, tend to grow up with, and it has made its way into health and fitness. It's
yes,
just upgrading it to say, oh, wait, no, that's not the way to be healthy and well. That's not the way to feel better and function better for my life right now. It is the way athletes need to train. It is the way military professionals need to train. So it has a place, but
mhm,
it's just saying, oh, wait, I don't have to do that. What I say to my patients and
yes,
clients is, unless you want to get on a stage in a bikini and show off your muscles, you don't need to be working out like that.
yes. See,
They're like,
that
no, I
was
don't want to. And so I just want to play on the floor with my grandkids is okay. This is the way to do that.
yeah, that was another so many, mindset shifts or misperceptions,
Mm,
that
yeah.
we live with, but we do have this that was a wonderful thing to think, "You know what? I'm not an athlete. I'm not in the I just want to have a life.
Yeah.
I want to
Right.
feel good and function well." You know?
Yes. Yes. And nobody's
That's
endorsing you to do that.
but there is this mindset that
Yeah.
all of us have to be training like what the celebrities are doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
entertainers, or,
Right.
all of that is
Yeah.
what's driving all this, and it's like, "But that's not my life.
Yeah.
I don't need to be operating at that level," but we sure
Yeah.
get the message that we should be. We
Right.
should be all working out 3 hours a
Yeah.
day.
Right. Right.
Or whatever,
Yeah.
doing these, elite
Yeah.
athlete things, and that was just such a mindset shift, it was so wonderful, it's like, "No, you don't."
It's so
Like,
freeing.
just think the load of pressure,
Right.
expectation, and should, and again, guilt, shame,
Hmm.
it just gets removed.
It's done. And then you free up to be in the well state and to start well. And I see this as the same thing that you do with your clients, Jan, in that working with executives and professionals, they very much in their job have to push through. That's their job. They have to push a little bit. They have to get things done. They have to show the bottom line. But in the other areas of their life, that doesn't work. And you help
Oh,
them kind of have that balance, right? To say, yeah, that works in this area, but for this, and I like how
I'll
you
go.
also break down those barriers.
Oh, I'll go even one better. What I do, because again, most of the people I'm working with have
Uh-huh.
massive inner pushers,
Yes.
massive,
Yep.
very strong mind, figure it
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
be really
Hmm.
smart, figure it
Yeah.
out really fast, and
Yeah.
work really, really hard. And that's
Hmm.
what's going, and have really high standards,
Yeah.
be
Yeah. How they
yeah,
got there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you're going to make it to the top is you've got
Yeah.
to have those kinds of standards. But my negotiation is,
Mhm.
yes, you can use your inner pusher to do that. You can work
Mhm.
harder than everybody else and get
Yeah.
ahead. But I said, what if I could show you there was a way that's even better than
Mm.
pushing and forcing?
Yeah.
What if I could show you there's a way that's actually, and it's not just you're trading off and get a little more balance. I'm like, no, it's
Yeah.
actually more effective. You will become more effective. And actually, if you think about it, back to that original story I told,
Yeah.
waiting for the client to show up,
Hmm.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
More effective from less pusher. You see what I mean? Less
Yes.
perfectionist, so that's my negotiation, and it's always kind of like, and of course, just like nobody believes me at
Right.
first, just like I didn't believe you at first.
Yes. Yes.
And then I say, it's okay because I have to show you, I have to
Hmm.
prove it. No, you shouldn't just take my word for this.
No, you have to feel it. You have to
Yes.
experience it.
What if
Yes.
I could show you? So I don't say,
Yeah.
make you, or what if I could show you there's a
Right.
way to do this?
Wow.
And it's now, they're kind of like, really? There's interest,
Yeah. What a
but
rebel you are. Taking these
uh,
top executives and telling them they don't have to be so hard
but
and
I think we
pushy.
were trying to
Yeah.
if we were trying to sum up this whole
Yeah.
conversation or everything we're
Yeah.
talking about, the fun of it is we're showing something that's unexpected.
Mhm.
It's, surprising or
Yes.
paradoxical,
Yes.
but to me, that is the healing of all
Yeah.
this shame and guilt or
Right.
this
Yeah.
mindset that we're working with tells us that, it's not working because you're not doing it right or you're not doing it hard enough,
Right.
you know? But what if that's not it? What if it's like, no, it's the method that's not working. You just need a different way to do it. And it does work. And
What
if
a paradox.
and you will find it, you will experience it.
Mm.
You don't have to take my word for it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
will, by experience,
Mm.
evidence-based,
Yeah.
you will figure this out for yourself and see
Right.
this is a better way of it
Yeah.
is even more effective
Yeah.
than pushing, forcing, judging.
Yeah. So, yeah, to sum it up, it sounds like we have experience for ourselves the way to feel better, function better now in a way that broke down those barriers of the shoulds and the pushing and all of that, and even the expert mindset of I have to have all the answers for this person that makes, as a health professional, makes it very stressful to do our job. And
Yes.
as a client, it makes it very stressful to try to be healthy or try to feel better, try to function better. Breaking down all that trying and all those shoulds by being present, meeting yourself where you are, getting to the heart of it, understanding what it means for you to be well, and then now feel it, trust it, move forward by feeling better now, by functioning better now, and experiencing that to really
Yeah.
understand how that works for you. And that's a
Well,
process, but you're right, you can only feel it. But I think anyone listening to this can kind of test those waters today and break down some of those barriers and thoughts and say, what would happen if I just met myself where I am? Where would that lead me? I find that that first step then kind of takes you on that journey, right? Just
yeah.
meeting yourself where you are.
And that's why I want to do these conversations with you is these are things I have experienced for myself and I observe in people I work with. Yes, there's the evidence-based stuff that's out there too.
Mhm.
I wanna look at that first and bring it in, but I don't wanna just rely on, "Okay, this is what a study showed." I want to experience, and I want my client to experience it. And, that's why I wanna keep doing these with you because I feel like this is something that I have learned I'm excited about, and I wanna
Mm.
share it.
Yeah.
And every time you and I have these conversations, I get to share it, that's
Mm.
fine, but I also learn something. Every time we
Mhm.
have a conversation like this, I walk away with something. So, yes, I've signed up, I want to keep doing these
Me too.
conversations.
Fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
and
We laugh
I can't wait
and
for the next one.
me too. I learned so much, and I love this kind of idea, this image of this, this brain down, this body up, and we bring this together in this whole person approach to just enjoying life, to make things easier, not harder,
Yes,
to feel better, to
yes.
function better. Yeah,
Feel better, function better. It's pretty
right
simple.
now.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Jan.
Thank you, Janet.